This video will explain Communication Technology, Lesson 5, the Digital Divide. So the term we're working with in the lesson is the digital divide, and basically what the digital divide is the disparity between those who have access to technology, or at least meaningful access to technology, and those who do not. So as our world becomes more reliant on technology, those who have real access to technology have an advantage over those who do not. And in the lesson, there are two infographics here, and these might sort of clarify the idea of digital divide a little bit further. So view the two infographics, and then at the end of the lesson, there's a process journal entry where you can choose to write about the infographics if you wish. So this digital divide is the disparity between those who have the access to technology and those who do not. So we can think of this in a number of different ways. There is an economic digital divide. So devices to access the internet cost money, and internet access itself costs money. So the people who have the money to afford the devices and afford the access really have an advantage over people who don't have the money to afford the devices or afford the access. And we can think of this on a local scale, so some people in Winnipeg have more money than others, or we could think of this on a broader, more global level. So people in some countries have more money than people in other countries, or some countries have more money than other countries. So we have an economic digital divide, a divide between those who have the money to afford it and those who do not have the money to afford it. There's also a geographic digital divide. So again, you have developed countries and you have developing countries, but there's also a digital divide that is between rural and urban areas. So urban areas tend to have much better internet access, much better internet connections than rural areas. So for example, Winnipeg has much better internet connection than a small town in northern Manitoba does. Another way of thinking about digital divide is in terms of age difference, or a generational digital divide. So young people who have gone through schooling their whole life with access to technology and have really grown up with the technology can be seen as sort of having an advantage over people who did not have access to technology when they were going through their schooling. So people who grew up with the internet tend to have more knowledge of it or more access to it than people who did not grow up with the internet. So that's the idea of digital divide. Okay, our society is becoming more and more reliant on technology, yet some people have more access to technology than other people. Typically, it's people who are already in a more advantaged position that have the access to technology. So that's really one of the concerns we have to be aware of as we're using technology, and really ensuring that technology doesn't exacerbate differences or increase differences between rich and poor. So there's a TED.com video, and the video focuses on bridging the global digital divide. So it has a global perspective and looks at how technology can be effectively brought to some of the poorest areas in the world. So you'll watch a TED.com video, and then you'll read a feature article, and the feature article, it's also on the digital divide, but it focuses on the digital divide in Canada specifically. So a video that has really a global perspective, and then a feature article that has a Canadian perspective. So after viewing the video, reading the feature article, you will answer the final process journal entry of the unit. And there are 3 questions, and I'd like you to answer all 3 questions in the process journal entry. So it'll be a bit of a lengthier response than the average process journal entry. And you want to include this all in one process journal entry. So it's communication technology, process journal entry 10, the digital divide, and you'll answer all 3 of these bullet points in the one process journal entry, and this should again just be a free form journal entry. So that's the end of my explanation for Communication Technology Lesson 5, The Digital Divide. Thanks for listening.